Well, Reese, Auburn's doing it again. They start the decade where they started the 2010s in Tampa, New Year's Day. Their resistance, Minnesota, in its best season in more than 100 years.
Morgan still got it. He'll loft it downfield. Bateman's got it. Tyler Johnson, touchdown, and it is intercepted in the end zone. One of the biggest wins in school history. He beat undefeated previously Penn State. It is Derek Brown to flatten Jerry and Ely.
And Shivers is in. Took somebody's helmet with it. Picked off. And it's Jacoby to play. Are you kidding me? 100 yards. How about this finish? They've got another big one over their arch rival from Tuscaloosa.
Welcome to Capital One Bowl Mania.
Welcome to the Outback Bowl, a part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Auburn is looking for its 15th 10-win season. They've done it before. Minnesota has 10 wins for the first time since 1905. And we welcome you to 2020 football-wise. Jason Benetti, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick downstairs. Look, the question for both these teams, what are you playing for today?
Yeah, well, we know Minnesota is motivated. They're having a season for the ages. Knocking off an SEC power would really put a cherry on top of that. What about Auburn? Well, we know a couple of years ago they weren't motivated for Central Florida. They learned a lesson. Everything we hear is that they are focused and that they've changed their routine, and this is a business trip, not a reward.
Well, they've got a kid at quarterback in Bo Nix who's building to something. The coaches say he might win them a national championship while he's here, the freshman.
Yeah, and he started off right as a legend in week one, national stage, took care of Oregon with a fourth quarter comeback, and then also had big wins near the end of the season, won over Alabama, some ups and downs in between, but he's a guy who can beat you with his arm, big plays with his legs as well, and they'll need that today.
He'll face Minnesota, which is a wonderful story this year, picked last in their division in the Big Ten, but the row the boat mantra has worked wonderfully. Calm seas through the first 9 games. Bing, bing, bing. Into the win column, even that win against Penn State, but the squalls came.
Storms.
Oh, it was ugly. At Iowa, then they beat Northwestern. They run into another white cap with Wisconsin, and now they face number 12 Auburn. But there's a boat in the stadium, so Quint Kesnick is rowing it with PJ Fleck.
Coach, how does the row the boat mantra reveal itself in this game today?
Well, we've got to be able to play just with relentless energy, and no matter what happens, just got to be able to stay the course and to find ways to become really explosive and play with incredible how.
What's the recipe for an upset?
We have to take care of the football. That's the first and foremost the thing we have to do, and then we have to be able to get takeaways on defense. And when we get takeaways on defense, we can score a lot of points and can stay within our game plan, and I think that's critical.
Thank you, Coach.
I appreciate it. Row the boats game. Go Gophers.
That was PJ Fleck on arrival here at the stadium with Quint Kesnick. Minnesota is a wonderful story. Gus Malzahn, last time 10 years ago, Auburn was here in the Outback Bowl at the beginning of the last decade. He was waiting for a fax from Cam Newton. That's how much can happen in one decade. Cam Newton shows up. They win the championship game the following year after the Outback Bowl.
That's a fax that changed his life.
Unquestionably, and we love that the fax machine is still a part of our culture on signing day into 2020.
But should it be?
Sure. I like the retro. Goldie's ready to go. The Tigers are ready to go. Minnesota's traveled well. So has Auburn. One of the great bowl games on New Year's Day, the Outback Bowl. And the Minnesota Golden Gophers will have it first from the 25-yard line. Tanner Morgan, the redshirt sophomore for these Minnesota Golden Gophers, a terribly accurate passer, an under-recruited young man who came here with PJ Fleck. He was going to go to Western Michigan, ends up here at Minnesota. He's won 12 of his last 14 starts, and he's been the driver.
He's the blue-collar underdog that everyone wants to root for, not the guy that was highly recruited, not in the spotlight, but he's found his way to success at Minnesota.
And yet again, his Gophers are underdogs, just like early in the season as Rodney Smith is drilled by K.J. Britt, the linebacker. This is one of the most efficient defenses in the country for Auburn.
I want to get back to Tanner Morgan in a moment, but that first play tells you what Minnesota is up against. It is the speed of Auburn. The outside run, that stretch play, is something that Minnesota, it's bread and butter. But Auburn has the speed to take away the outside run every single down.
Auburn 13th in scoring defense in the country. Kevin Steele has done once again a magnificent job. This is an inside run for Smith, who sets up a 3rd down and short for Tanner Morgan.
The story you were telling about Tanner Morgan, he got a phone call from P.J. Fleck when P.J. Fleck took the job at Minnesota and said, hey, I'm going to Minnesota. You want to come with me? And he said, yep. P.J. said, well, you want to come visit first? He said, nope. I'm coming.
And the answer for this program, it turned out, was Tanner Morgan, who got the job because of an injury to Zach Annexted, who was presumed to be at least in the competition for the starting quarterback job to start the year. Morgan has enough time, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Javaris Davis. And he's down to the 12-yard line. Just the 7th pick for Morgan all year.
The number 1 play for Minnesota is the run-pass option with the slant over the middle. And they've run that all season long. You will see to the left side of your screen, he's looking for the slant, and Davis jumps that slant. Now, that is something that Auburn has been practicing against all week long. It is something that Wisconsin did very well against Minnesota. It's something Iowa did well. So you're going to have to see a change from Minnesota. That slant is not going to be available early on because they are sitting on it.
The number 1 pass play for the Gophers, and weeks to look at it, as they'll go with the jet sweep for Shivers, who you saw in the open had that wrecking ball touchdown in the Iron Bowl. So many weapons on the outside for Bo Nix and the Auburn Tigers offense, which scores 34 points a game, even against one of the toughest schedules in the country.
That schedule was ridiculous. Unbelievably hard.
I mean, every week you're seeing a top 15 team, essentially, for the Auburn Tigers, who, again, as you said, started the season with a win against Oregon. DJ Williams into the backfield, the young running back who's seen a lot more time recently, and it'll be 3rd down.
This is where Bo Nix is a dual threat quarterback. He's got more than a handful of rushing touchdowns this season. So off of that zone read or speed option, he also has the ability to get to the edge. His favorite target here, Jason, 18, near side. Seth Williams with his height, great height.
Yeah, Q, you're right on it. He can do it with his legs here. He can go to that fade route.
Right down at the bottom. That's the direction they go. Incomplete. It was Williams the target. Benjamin St. Just was there on the coverage, the Michigan transfer.
Now, Kajus plays that very well. He knows what he's doing out there. He is playing him so that he's trying to force the deep throw, the fade, but that's a back shoulder, and because he's in great position for that, he's right there to make that play.
And for P.J. Fleck, who said we've got to start fast, to be able to hold the Tigers to a field goal try here is mammoth.
Yeah, that's huge.
Anders Carlson from 24. And Auburn does take the lead. 3-0 Tigers. P.J. Fleck will take it.
The Outback Bowl, brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. Hurry in January 2nd for your free bloomin' onion or coconut shrimp. And Mitsubishi Motors, drive your ambition.
One of the wonderful things about bowl games is the opportunity to get out into the community. We saw players and coaches at Tampa General Hospital to bring some holiday cheer. Then Busch Gardens on Saturday. So Auburn and Minnesota traveling well. And the Tigers held to a field goal after the interception in the short field on the opening drive.
That's a great defensive start for Minnesota. I mean, that thing was set up to be 7-0 right away. But to get a field goal out of that, that's got to make the Minnesota coaching staff really happy.
Carlson to kick it away to Demetrius Douglas for Minnesota. And once again from the 25 for the Golden Gophers. And go back to the pick here.
Yeah, you know, we talked about this RPO run-pass option. The quarterback makes the decision after the snap whether to have a run or to throw the ball. Now, the slant is something that they want. Inside coverage here by Davis, and he backs in, taking away the inside. You see that? He's taking away the inside, and you still have Tyler Johnson trying to run that slant inside. Davis just runs it for him.
Interception in 3 straight games for Tanner Morgan, which was extremely rare early in the season. The efficiency of this offense is high level against a very tough defense. There's a cross for a first down just short of the 42. Rashad Bateman, who led the team in receiving yards this year.
Yeah, come right back with it. Another run pass option, quick slant. Now, Auburn's going to give a lot of man-to-man coverage. And as long as those linebackers attack the run action, that slant will be there. That's a good omen for Minnesota.
Big Ten Receiver of the Year, Bateman, another under-recruited guy out of Tifton, Georgia. And our first flag comes surprisingly against Minnesota, which does not get penalized very much.
Ball start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Still, first down.
It's on Connor Olson. Minnesota, 38 penalty yards a game. That's top 10 fewest in the country.
You know, P.J. Fleck doesn't get enough credit for how he manages a game. His teams play a very clean game. He plays pretty much old school. Defense, special teams, you know, control the clock. For all of the other modern things that he does, his game management is very old school.
Yeah, I was going to say it's in conflict with the deeply psychological bent he has as a coach. And Morgan rolling out on first down and longer, and he's got a connection up to the 50-yard line to Tyler Johnson, the senior, for 17 and a first down.
The one advantage Minnesota has coming into this ball game is they have 2 incredibly talented receivers on the outside. And no matter how good you are in man-to-man coverage, you can't beat great receivers every single play. So Bateman and Johnson are the key to Minnesota getting something done today.
They're going to go Wildcat here. Seth Green, the Wildcat quarterback all year long, is going to run power, and he runs right into Owen Papo, the freshman linebacker. Now to our Chick-fil-A impact player.
Well, not hard to figure out some of these impact players in this ball game. They really have been standing out all season long. You start with Rashad Bateman and Antoine Winfield from Minnesota, too. And Winfield's an All-American, and Seth Williams can go up and get the ball. And Derek Brown. Everybody's All-American. Likely first-round pick, actually top 10, top 5 pick in the next draft.
Our Chick-fil-A impact players, including, you mentioned, so much talent on that Auburn defensive side, and they've been with the same coaching staff for years as well. Big hole, Muhammad Ibrahim crashing into Jamie and Sherwood, gain of 14 and another first down.
Now watch the block over here and the edge there. This is where it happens. They do a really good job of handling the tackle and the edge. No Derek Brown in there on that play.
And again, Minnesota is short a little bit on the line with Daniel Fa'alele, the typical right tackle, out. Jake Paulson, the starting tight end, who's a very good blocker, out as well with an injury. And so they run left behind Schluter. Ibrahim again to the second level, past that ultra-talented D-line, and Igbenogany makes the tackle.
Now let's keep in mind what we've seen so far. New offensive coordinator for Minnesota. They run their 2 best plays right off the bat. They get stuffed. They come back and start running inside, and then they make something out of it. And then they are able to get back outside.
Yeah, it's been their base offense. It's all based on that inside zone, the RPO game off of that. They have thrown a formational wrinkle at Auburn going empty on the first series, but this is just standard Minnesota football. And right now, Auburn's defense a bit on their heels.
even with the new offensive coordinator, as Kirk Shiraka is out to Penn State. Moving on to State College, there's a first down for Rodney Smith. But again, Quint says typical Minnesota offense. They're so used to what they do, the recipe's the same.
The surprise, though, is that they can run that inside zone against this defensive line. We didn't think that would be able to happen. Now, Derek Brown is back in there. Now, they're double teaming him when he's in the game. So that's a bit of an issue for them. But, you know, you still have Marlon Davidson over there. So this is a credit to what that line is doing right off the bat.
Derek Brown, who was vocal about how much he wanted to play in this bowl game, his final game at Auburn. Some of his defensive mates followed him. There he is. Morgan, and Brown was in on the tackle.
Now, Derek Brown is the ringleader, and he got almost all of his boys to come back last year when he was a first-round projected pick, and to play in this ball game. There's only one Auburn player, Nick Coe, who isn't playing in this ball game.
Yeah, essentially the Pied Piper said, I'm coming back. Everybody else came with for Auburn, so the motivation is to send out the seniors in a strong way. But Minnesota is having a very Gopher-like drive on its second touch of the football. Short gain up the middle. Ibrahim, third down and long.
Yeah. Now, when Derek Brown is being doubled and he clogs up that center like that, makes it really, really easy to get your linebackers involved there. And whether it's Papo or Britt, they just run free and make those tackles. Here's an interesting third down now. This is typically where you get Minnesota looking at their RPO. Now, Auburn is a heavy blitz team in this situation, which Minnesota has not seen a lot of.
Morgan, short and incomplete. Christian Tutt had the coverage on Johnson. It's fourth down.
Still, that is a drive which should give Minnesota a lot of confidence.
You know, the one thing Auburn does, though, they tend to tease you with that confidence, because only 52% of the time when you get past Auburn's 40, do you score.
Well, listen, this is a veteran defense. A lot of seniors, a lot of juniors, a lot of guys that have played a lot of football, and they're patient, and they've got Kevin Steele, who's been coaching for 40 years, telling them, hey, it's a different day and age. You will give up some yards.
Lance sends it on through, and the Gophers have tied the game, but the anchor of the defense, Derek Brown, and the defensive line will be with Quint Kesnick after this.
Tell me about this jersey, the elasticity of it, and how small it is. It's like a tank top.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it actually keeps it really close to you so nobody won't hold you.
Where do they try to hold you?
You name it up here.
Yeah.
They try to pull the jersey off. Usually when we come in the locker room, it's already like over the shoulder pads and taped down.
And then head. Oh man, it's tough on your ears when you bring that thing over.
So that was earlier this year. Have your ears recovered, Quint?
They have. You know, those jerseys are like a T-shirt, but I couldn't be more impressed with Big Cat and Derek in terms of their sense of humor, their willingness to teach me about how they, you know, with the help of two equipment managers, put those jerseys on and then use double sticky tape to make it as tight as possible so they can't be held.
You got the understanding of how together of a group that is, though, right? I mean, that's what we hear so much about the Auburn defensive line.
You guys hit it on the head when you called Derek the Pied Piper, because you could see that at practice the other day with their senior send-off. He is truly the captain elected.
And this is going to be a big return for Igbenogany. Noah Igbenogany is gone. 96 yards.
Well, all it takes is a couple of Minnesota guys out of their lane, and watch the key block, number 19, right in front of Igbenogany And that's all he needed. Once he got that block, he was off to the races. Minnesota played it as a return to their left, and he went to their right.
Grant Ryerson, the kickoff man, had the best shot at him and couldn't make the tackle. Igbenogany and this special teams unit for Auburn pays off a big touchdown after a grinding Minnesota field goal drive. See it again.
Yeah. Just keep your eyes peeled right here. Watch this block open everything up. Oh, I'm sorry, right front, 1999. That block. That was the block.
That's Matthew Hill.
Yeah.
The wide receiver.
Key block.
You talked about a speed differential, Rod. Showed up on special teams.
Yeah. Yeah, Q. You know, you had Minnesota a little bit out of their lanes, and because of Auburn's speed, it didn't take much.
That ties an Outback Bowl record for kickoff return touchdown length. And the second one taken to the house by Igbenogany. So Minnesota goes 10 plays, 6 minutes, 4 first downs, assembly line drive for 3 points, and then Auburn takes the top off with a touchdown in an instant on the ensuing kickoff. So now Minnesota has to deal with a deficit, and Igbenogany showing the wear and tear of all that went into that 96-yard return. Hey, coming up tomorrow, 2 great bowl games on ESPN. First up, BC and number 21 Cincinnati, who we saw in the the American Conference Championship game. That's the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl, 3 Eastern. Then at 7 Eastern, Indiana looking for their first bowl win since 1991 against Tennessee.
They are exciting. They can throw the ball around.
We had them at Penn State, and they, even without their best playmaker in the game for most of that, had a shot at taking down Penn State. And now the Auburn defense swarms and sets up a 2nd and long off the run from Smith.
Yeah, a bit of an issue when you don't double Derek Brown in there. Now, I think this series we need to see Morgan become the focal point. He's got to throw some passes. He's got to get the ball out fast.
Getting off a press has been an issue for some of these outside receivers.
Well, we talked to Bateman and Johnson, and they were looking forward to it yesterday in our meetings, trying to maybe get upfield. We have not seen that yet for Minnesota's passing offense.
Well, the good news is they've moved Johnson into the slot. It's harder to press Johnson when he's in the slot there.
Morgan, it's batted away. Roger McCreary, the sophomore from Mobile, sets up 3rd and 11.
But this Auburn defense, the secondary in particular, they're being very physical. You know, Johnson tried to run a double move, tried to run a slant go, and as he tried to do that, he got waylaid by McCreary, number 23. He just held him Tutt as well. Those guys are doing a good job of being physical.
Look at the confidence of Christian Tutt. I mean, Kevin Steele, we essentially asked him yesterday what could go wrong in this game for your defense, and he was very confident in the drive and motivation for his defense, which has been together for so long, looking for essentially a graduation present, as that's nearly intercepted by Daniel Thomas.
Yeah, forget about having 2.5 seconds to get rid of the football.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's kind of the standard you like, and that's what Minnesota tries. They're not getting that on that 3rd and long. They bring Davis from the edge, a lot of speed, a lot of pressure. Look at 13. Look how fast he's coming.
Minnesota has struggled at quite a few times this year to protect Tanner Morgan anyway, even when they've gotten the ball out fast. They're without Fa'alele and Paulson and facing the best defense they'll see.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Minnesota has a fantastic punt coverage unit. And that ball is on the ground, off of Tutt, and Minnesota's on it. My goodness. Why try to field that?
That's what Gus Malzahn wants to know. Tut's going a long way, and that ball's out in front of him. He's just trying to save yardage, and that's an ill-advised attempt.
And it's his senior, Thomas Barber, who recovers it for Minnesota. And when we asked Kevin Steele what could go wrong, he hearkened back to a game when he was at Clemson, had to face some short fields defensively, and this is the type of thing that can gum up the works for a top 10 defense.
TJ Fleck said he needs turnovers.
I believe this is going to be under further review. We'll check and see if it was indeed touched by Tut when we come back. Christian Tut muffs the punt. Barber recovers, and the call stands.
No surprise there. Look at this. He actually does get his hands on it. You can tell by his reaction, too.
His fingers curl.
Yep, and he looks at it. He knows immediately.
And so the call stands as delivered initially, and Minnesota has a short field running its 16th play of the game with 5:19 to go in the first. Morgan pointing to his senior tailback, Rodney Smith. Morgan lets it rip and has Chris Autman-Bell, the sophomore wide receiver. But you can see in Tanner Morgan's mannerisms, he is sensing the pressure with his shoulder movements quickly.
Yeah, well, he got some pressure from Marlon Davidson. As soon as he got rid of that ball, he took a hit. Now, it's not always getting the sack. It's just constantly being under duress. You're affecting the quarterback. Davidson gets a hit. You know, Brown's in there knocking him around. Davis comes with the pressure on that last screenplay attempt. So Tanner Morgan is not yet comfortable back there because he's getting harassed.
Time this time. And he's got Johnson inside the 20. Tyler Johnson, the Minnesota native, for 17.
This is one way to beat press coverage, a crossing route. He comes all the way across the field to run away from the man coverage. That is a good way to help Johnson out. Johnson is not a great change of direction guy, so beating press coverage when he's the outside receiver is a little tougher. Put him in the slot and let him run away from the guy. That's a great adjustment.
Humble young man who's going to walk for his diploma coming up in the spring. And he said to us yesterday he did it for his family, to be a role model for everybody coming after him, all of his siblings. Ibrahim, touchdown Gophers.
The line does a great job of pushing Davidson 3 outside, and they seal off Brown and create a huge hole and a missed tackle by KJ Britt. I shouldn't say missed tackle because actually all that happened was Ibrahim ran right through the tackle.
Yeah, he kind of put himself in a ball, made himself small, Maurice Jones-Drew style, and got himself a rushing touchdown, and the extra point good for Lance. Coming up today, 5 Eastern time, the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. Oregon takes on Wisconsin. Then at 8:45, Georgia and Baylor together in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Both games also available on the ESPN app, which gives us a chance to look at our hot topics around college football. Brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. Points are not terribly likely, but boy, is it going to be physical. This is the Rose Bowl game and the hot topics. So look, both of these teams, Auburn and Minnesota, have seen Wisconsin and Oregon. Oregon was the trampoline for Auburn's season. Wisconsin was the one that stood in the way of the Golden Gophers in getting to the Big Ten championship game.
And really kind of put out a roadmap for dealing with Minnesota's offense.
See what type of kickoff you see from Minnesota here.
You wouldn't imagine they would want to get Igbenogany the ball, and now Auburn's just going to fall on this one. It is the short kick, so they'll go ahead and let him set up shop at the 35 as Britt dives on top of it. So Auburn has run a grand total of 3 plays for 6 yards.
So who's your quarterback?
Yeah, we haven't met him. He's Bo Nix. If you've missed him, 90 seconds he's had the ball so far on a short field kickoff return touchdown. The freshman of the year in the SEC, Bo Nix, such a talented young man.
Well, I really think you have to admire and respect him and what he's been through.
His throw to the outside at the 40-yard line for Anthony Schwartz, who's back and pretty much healthy.
Nix has been in the spotlight since he was a kid. You know, his dad was a quarterback at Auburn. He had to measure up to that. He was the most decorated.
There's Schwartz who goes down.
The most decorated high school football player in Alabama history. Played some games there at Jordan-Hare, and then expected to do great things at Auburn, and all he does is win the job as a freshman and plays a big game in his first week.
Another quick hitter for Schwartz. When we saw him back in September, it was his first ever game as a collegiate player at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and now he's here feeling comfortable.
But the pressure for living up to all that. Are you as good as your dad was at Auburn? Can you play as well? Can you play at Auburn?
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
He told us he felt really comfortable starting after that Mississippi State game about halfway through the year when it all started to really flow for him. On the ground, nothing there for DJ Williams.
What stands out about Nix on the bench is the next play mentality, the next series mentality. He's grown up. He never lost his confidence this year. He never hit the proverbial freshman wall. He's been a sponge, asking the right questions. Let's see if he can deliver on this third down.
Yeah, we talked about Tanner Morgan being the guy that was lightly recruited. That's not Nix, man. We're talking about a guy, Elite 11 and everything else. He's been under all kinds of pressure as a youngster, and he's handled it well. He's seen a lot of third downs like this.
Nix bails. He can absolutely run, but he is short by a couple of yards, and now will Auburn go for it on 4th down for the 14th time this year?
Well, looks like they will. There's Malzahn sending in.
Tight ends and Boobie Whitlow, potential Wildcat.
Remember, Gus Malzahn has called the plays this year. He also lost his offensive coordinator, Kenny Dillingham. Chad Morris is in, watching mostly today. And a flag comes down for a false start.
That's going to change it.
Gus Malzahn is pleading his case over on the sideline.
Nix is furious also.
Still going to go for it, it looks like.
Wow.
Got a quarterback pooch punt here if they don't like what they see.
I think that's what you're going to get, Q.
Yeah, they broke it down, and now we're going to have a timeout, Minnesota.
Yeah, they had no one back to receive the punt.
Well, if any Alabama fans are watching, we wouldn't imagine so with the Tide playing. But in the Iron Bowl, Auburn pulled some shenanigans with its punt formation, well within the law. But Nick Saban wasn't terribly pleased about the whole function.
The Nick Saban, Gus Malzahn relationship is interesting. Malzahn is really the only coach who's had any success against Saban. Saban has really dominated everyone else. And he's got, 2 or 3 wins against him in his tenure there at Auburn.
Gus Malzahn and P.J. Fleck, by the way, have an interesting relationship, too. The two coaches in our game have a lot of admiration for one another. And separately, outside of a game like this, they are friends. They've joked around a little bit here today. And now P.J. Fleck doing some calisthenics, but telling him to talk as Bo Nix going to come off the field. They're going to punt. Auburn has struggled mightily this year on punt coverage. But Demetrius Douglas back to receive for the Gophers. And this ends up out of bounds. Good kick from Sipos. Start right at the 10. Wild Card Weekend starts in the NFL with our game on ESPN and ABC Saturday, 4:35 Eastern, Josh Allen and the Bills take on Deshaun Watson and the AFC South champion Texans from NRG Stadium in Houston. Coverage starts with postseason NFL Countdown 3 Eastern, also on the ESPN app. Do you remember Buffalo playing a team from Houston in the postseason? Back in the day, they had a little oil rig on their helmets, and Buffalo went down like 1,000 and had one of the greatest comebacks in football history.
Is that Warren Moon?
Warren Moon, Webster Slaughter, the whole bunch. And Frank Reich and the Bills with the comeback. We'll see if it happens again. Ibrahim across the 20 into Thomas, the safety. So Minnesota having success running up the middle over the guard.
Well, you know, since that touchdown, you come back with this one. They're doing a good job of doubling Brown inside. And because Davidson is getting up the field, they're letting him go the way he wants to go. And they're pushing him that way and then running back inside.
Minnesota 6th in the country in time of possession. They've had the ball for very much the balance of this first quarter. Ibrahim shook by one tackle from Zacoby McClain, and Davis finally got him. Here comes Brown again, trying to amp up the troops with some energy.
Well, you know, this running to the outside, throwing screens, all this stuff is tough on big guys. You know, it can get them a little winded. Auburn trying to make sure they get Brown a little rest when they can. And he's getting doubled every time. He's working hard because Minnesota has targeted him as the guy they need to stop.
They're not wrong. Morgan floats it and incomplete. The tight end Brevin Spanford just slipped out of his chip, and it'll be third down.
That pressure was brought by Denson, the free safety. Minnesota doesn't see an awful lot of pressure, you know, in these situations. They've been blitz pressured 41% of the time. That's, you know, more than most Big Ten teams. But in the 3rd down and 6 range, teams typically played coverage against them. Auburn doesn't believe in that. Auburn will get after you.
Well, Kevin Steele is an aggressive play caller defensively.
Down there's the matchup. Bateman has got to beat press coverage.
McCreary down there with him, and another timeout for P.J. Fleck in Minnesota.
Their second charge, timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
So look, P.J. Fleck wanted a fast start for Minnesota.
Got that?
He got it in a way, right? I mean, they go down, but they withstood both big punches, the interception and the kick return touchdown.
Yeah, well, the thing that's really impressed me so far, though, is the way that the offensive line has handled 2 first-round picks in that Auburn defensive line. Brown and Davidson have been neutralized so far in this ball game. So a lot of confidence for the Minnesota offensive line. What they haven't been able to do is to get either Bateman or Johnson to consistently beat press coverage. And until that happens, their passing attack is going to be restricted.
It's amazing with this Auburn team, right, to have so many seniors on a defense who have been coached by the same defensive line coach, same defensive coordinator. It speaks to the culture Steele and Malzahn have created to keep all those guys together, but plucky Minnesota is giving them all they want in 21 plays in the first quarter.
Empty formation. Is the pressure coming? If it is, it's coming from the field.
It's creeping up there. Morgan moves in a blocker. And this is Bateman off the catch, and he is doused immediately. He was absolutely surrounded. Javaris Davis, who had the pick, makes the stick.
Well, something didn't go right because Brown got in there in a hurry, like they were trying to let him through with the screen pass, but they didn't really set it up as a screen pass.
It was a great swim move.
The first quarter.
Minnesota and Auburn in an entertaining back and forth first quarter, 10-10 after 1. What's next? Real coverage provided by Goodyear, recognizing those who strive to rise above the rest. Goodyear, more driven. Welcome back to the Outback Bowl, a part of Capital One Bowl Mania. And mania is the operative word for this game so far. Auburn has 10 points but has run 8 plays in the first quarter, and we'll get the ball back after this Minnesota punt. Gophers a 10-win season. Auburn going for win number 10. Christian Todd, who muffed a punt earlier, still back there, and he fair catches this one and secures it at the 32. So Bo Nix, the freshman from Pinson Valley High School, he played for his dad, the former Auburn quarterback there. He's got 25 yards, which looks pretty small, but it's only because he just hadn't seen the ball much.
I think that's right. You know, Auburn goes into the game, every game, looking for 9 explosive plays of 20 yards or more. They have 0. They go in looking for 13 possessions. They've only had 2 so far, so they're not on track with the way they like to play.
Nix whips it far side and batted away. Incomplete for Seth Williams, who he threw a jump ball to earlier.
Now, the thing about Nix is that his passing has been sort of inconsistent. He throws a great deep ball, a great back shoulder. It's the routine play. He'll make the spectacular play for you. I expect next season that his completion percentage will jump up from 57% to around 65%.
Once again, he goes for Schwartz, and he's got the first down. Make no mistake, the Auburn coaches feel like Bo Nix is the type of guy who can lead them to a national championship.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's got all the skills that they love. Now, Chad Morris is going to help him with that consistency. Gus Malzahn, candidly admits that. The routine play, putting the ball directly where the receiver needs it to keep a drive alive, is the critical stuff. That one.
Williams the catch and trying to run. He's tripped up.
Those last 2 throws, those are the things that Bo Nix will be expected to deliver next year on a regular basis. So that completion percentage is much higher. And it should be somewhere around 65, 68%. On the road, not as good this year. Neutral site, home, comfort zone, pretty good.
This is Cam Martin on the run. 3rd down on the way for Auburn.
Minnesota's corners so far, Rod, are playing off. They're kind of conceding the underneath stuff. They've done a good job tackling one-on-one on the outside. If I'm Auburn, the lack of a bread-and-butter run game so far has got to be a little concerning here.
Yeah, Q, I think that means that Nix is going to have to do more with his legs today than maybe originally planned. Here's a little wildcat for you.
Couple of tosses. Nix ends up with it. Bo Nix scrambling and throwing, and it's incomplete. Minnesota holds the line. Gus Malzahn thought about going for it from this spot earlier. And on 4th down and 3, will he again?
Isn't it kind of hard to do that when you pull out your trick play and your trick play doesn't work? You want to come back and run a conventional play?
Yeah, it seems a little backward, but you're kind of left with that situation because you don't want to get the ball again with like 5 minutes left in the second quarter the way Minnesota's been driving it. They'll bring in the couple of tight ends, Shanker and Nye, and maybe that punt that Quint was talking about, and they will boot it with Bo Nix. And he drops in an absolute marvel inside the 10-yard line.
What can he do?
Well, he said he played cornerback in high school. He wanted to play wide receiver a little bit. He's a punter now. Lovely Tampa Bay, which was jumping on New Year's Eve last night. 34th year of this game, 25th year of Outback as the title sponsor of the Outback Bowl. Auburn's defense getting neutralized a little bit.
Yeah, that offensive line has hit on something. They're letting Davidson, that first-round pick potentially, do what he wants. He wants to go upfield, go upfield. They are running away from him, and they're able to double-team Brown inside, so they're finding gaps this way. Run away from Davidson, let him go where he wants to, and if you can double-team Brown, you got some running lanes, and guess what? 68 yards rushing already for Minnesota.
Morgan pulls it. And lets it rip to the far side for Tyler Johnson.
Quint, that the biggest surprise to you so far?
Yeah, how Minnesota's offensive line is handling the Auburn front. And how Matt Simon, their interim offensive coordinator, has really called a smart game, an efficient game. You know, Kirk Soraka taking the job at Penn State. For years, he was the sidekick of P.J. Fleck and the offensive coordinator responsibility. And Simon calling his first game of his career.
Minnesota fans were not happy about his leaving before this bowl game.
Soraka, that is, going elsewhere in the Big Ten. As Smith has the first down. But look, the receivers we talked to yesterday, they said the key word that Simon uses is aggressive with them. Aggressive. Live every day aggressively. Essentially win the day. And he's calling an efficient, smart, restrained game so far.
Well, he's not wrong.
That's right.
Yeah. Live it aggressively. Why not?
They're both accurate.
Yeah, his story is very similar to P.J. Fleck, a wide receiver at Northern Illinois. Played in the NFL. I mean, you talk about an overachiever, left-hander. He was out early and awfully excited for this opportunity.
Another broken tackle for Ibrahim to set up second down for Minnesota's rushing offense, which is more than halfway to Auburn's typical total they give up at 115 a game. There you see 8.5 yards a carry for Ibrahim, and Davidson still on the sideline.
Body punches on a warm day. Whole season, you've had some time off. What's your conditioning level as a defender? They've asked a lot of this defensive front in terms of plays and time on the field.
Morgan, once again, Tyler Johnson, first down. And Tyler Johnson is an outstanding story. We told you about him getting his degree soon here in Minneapolis. But he goes to Minneapolis North High School, and he is a young man.
How about that triple team on Brown? And you talk about a day and how much work he's putting in. Minnesota is going after him.
Yeah, Johnson, I mean, this kid essentially helped his high school stay open. He won a basketball championship in the state for North High School, and they revere him there. This offense has been outstanding in the first half as Rodney Smith barrels down the field for a 30-yard gain.
And this is that stretch play, the play that they weren't sure they'd be able to run to get to the edge. Now they got it going. They've been running the inside zone, doing it well, and now they're able to go back outside with Rodney Smith. And Auburn doesn't have control of anything up front right now.
Pump and go, maybe. Here comes Davidson. Morgan flushed, and he lets it go. He waited long enough for Autman-Bell to clear, but it's incomplete. He was out of bounds as Chris Autman-Bell tried to tightrope it.
I thought Morgan was going to take off there. I thought he had a little bit of room to run on a first down play and pick up some good yardage, but he is such a disciplined quarterback. He looks down the field all the time, and he knows his playmakers can do more than he can. Isn't he a guy that you root for because of his background, and he's such a blue-collar guy, and you know, as he says, he walks into the room, he's just a guy.
He's another one of those guys on the long list of people they said, hey, maybe not the size to play quarterback, maybe not the big-time peripherals and all of that. I mean, he was, as you said, he was going to Western Michigan. P.J. Fleck calls him, says, come to Minneapolis. He's having this party, his farewell party, which is Kalamazoo stuff, Broncos stuff all over the living room. And he's got to tell everybody who comes in, hey, actually, we're going to wear different colors. Sorry about it.
His mother had ordered cookies with a W for Western Michigan. Smart woman. She just turned them upside down.
Yeah.
For Minnesota.
W becomes an M, and that's the ballad of Tanner Morgan's farewell party from high school in Kentucky. Screen pass, far side. Bateman sneaks through. Rashad Bateman inside the 5.
Perfect call in that situation. They come with the screen. expecting pressure, and the blitz comes, and then watch Bateman, that explosive first step. He runs through tackles. Guys had angles. He ran by them with his speed. So explosive.
There's a level of confidence for these receivers after what they've done this year, beating Penn State, getting to 9-0, that Minnesota has not seen for a long time with a group. Go the other way. Johnson, touchdown! He did get in gymnastically. Let's see, did he get in?
Ball has to break the plane, not Johnson, the ball.
Very close.
Very close.
Remember, the call on the field is touchdown.
So you need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field. It has to be clear that the ball didn't break the plane.
Is a touchdown.
Let's watch as we zoom in. They are going to go to review. And again, it's just a piece of the football that's got to cross the line. I don't know, Rod.
I don't know isn't good enough to overturn it.
Yeah. That's usually the sign that stands would come if the answer is I don't know. Jeremiah Dinson got into him on the tackle to flip him over. All you need, again, is a piece of the football.
Yep, just a little bit of. Listen, while we have a moment, this is not about Auburn not being into this game or focused for this game. So this is not a couple years ago. Everything we've seen with Auburn in practice, everything we've heard from the coaches and the players, their whole approach to bowl games changed after Central Florida.
Yeah, this is a work trip. You're going to have the beach when you have the beach. The reward is winning, is the way Gus Malzahn put it to us. But look, P.J. Fleck has done remarkable things just psychologically with this team. It's so together of a group when you watch them in practice.
But it's taking the country a hard, long time to believe and buy into what he's building at Minnesota.
And if they win this game, it'll take less time for more people to understand what P.J. Fleck has done. And again, this is an Auburn team that could have been a college football playoff team. They played as tough a schedule as anybody and hyper talented, very well coached, running into this North Midwest buzzsaw.
Well, unless there is something else that the replay officials are looking at a different angle.
They've already spotted the ball on the 3-inch line.
Yeah, okay. So they had an angle that convinced them that he wasn't in.
After further review, the ball carrier's elbow was down at the 1/2-yard line when the ball was also at the 1/2-yard line. It will be second down.
Well, we have an idea of how many Gopher fans have joined us in stadium for this game with the booing that just rained down on Tampa Bay. But it'll be second down and goal and another opportunity. Look at Derek Brown trying to charge up the troops. Tanner Morgan has gone to the far side. Green is in as the Wildcat quarterback.
And he is a big guy.
Power against power, we'll see.
240 pounds.
It goes directly to Rodney Smith. And Smith rapping on the door. He's in. Touchdown, Minnesota. Let's see if it stands this time. 92 yards in about 5 minutes. It would be their second longest scoring drive of the year. Let's see.
Did he get in cleanly? When is he down? There's an elbow. Where's the ball?
I think he's short again, Rod.
I don't think he's in there. No.
Oh, no.
No.
He may have lost half a quarter of a yard.
I agree. That elbow was down, and the ball did not break the plane.
So quick polling by our ESPN.com staff
Ruling on
says
the field is a touchdown. The previous play is under further review.
quick polling, very quick exit polling says the state of Minnesota is against instant replay in 2020. Just very quick polling.
Look, I think a lot of people are starting to have concerns about instant replay, particularly when you slow things down to frame by frame, because it distorts things. Now,
Like the Clemson-Ohio State game.
We only have one definitive study out there from the University of Chicago about what happens when you slow things down. They did a study and started in the criminal justice system, looking at intent, and then moved to athletics. And they discovered that there's a distortion factor when you go frame by frame.
That applies to targeting only. That does not apply to goal lines and first down lines, where you need slow motion to more closely look at it.
Yeah, I think that's the point. A lot of people, that's exactly the point that you two are discussing, is that folks say either replay or not. That's not necessarily true. It's do it right for the right plays at the right time.
So, for example, we had the Clemson-Ohio State play, the incomplete pass, which scoop and score followed, and that was overturned.
Game-changing play.
When it should have stood.
Looks like they've spotted the ball again. Feel like Groundhog Day, although that's a gopher, not a groundhog.
And that play should, as you said, should have stood, and Ohio State had every reason to be upset that it didn't.
After further review, the ball carrier's left elbow was down while the ball was at the 1 foot line. It'll be third down.
Now the Auburn roars overwhelm the Minnesota booing in the crowd. This is fun. This atmosphere is really enjoyable today.
Well, at our hotel, there were Auburn and Minnesota fans, and as we walked around, they'd stop you. Are you from Auburn? Are you from Minnesota?
Sorry, we're neutral.
Flag, and this is a noisy end zone, too. Auburn band right in the
Illegal
corner.
substitution. Defense. 12 players lined up in formation. Half the distance to the goal. Still, third down.
The best penalty you could ever want if you're Gus Malzahn and Kevin Steele, though, because you get about an eighth of a yard for Minnesota.
Well, I don't think there's any question that this is 4 down territory for Minnesota.
Oh, with how aggressive they want to be?
Yep. This has got to be time for Seth Green to carry the ball. 6'4", 240.
Green it is. Green driven back. He is short. Auburn walls up and sets up a 4th and goal.
Well, listen, you can't run at Brown. He made a tremendous play, destroying guys in front of him to get to Green.
Tremendous effort by the Auburn defense.
Looks like PJ Fleck's going to use a timeout here. His left guard, Connor Olson, had to come out of the game after losing his helmet. He had a nose full of blood. And so this timeout will allow Coach Fleck to put Olson back in the game if he can play.
Q, all I know is that you're the last guy with the chalk. You do not run at Derek Brown down there. You have the ability to change and run away from him. You run at him, you got a problem.
We'll see what Minnesota chooses. 4th and goal when we come back.
Minnesota, their third and final timeout of the half.
Bryce Witham, touchdown, Minnesota. Seth Green to Bryce Witham, touchdown Gophers.
Fake the run and fake the block, and all by himself, a nice, easy pass by Morgan, and Minnesota's up.
Auburn got a stand for 3 straight plays. The extra point for Lance is good, and Minnesota takes the lead. Goldie is thrilled.
The Outback Bowl, brought to you by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Clearwater Beach, beautiful. A little cloudy, but such a lovely atmosphere. And this bowl game treats everybody so wonderfully here in Tampa. Again, 34th year of the bowl game, 25th year for Outback. And for Bryce Witham, his 4th career catch is his first this year and his first career touchdown. So they're without Jake Paulson. He steps in and scores.
You know the game plan for Auburn, though. Hey, that 85 guy, when he's over there, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Just a blocker.
Well, they're not wrong at that point. As here is Shivers on the return across the 35. And John Brickley is in the studio. Hi, Brick. Happy 2020. Make Auburn fans feel a little better than an Alabama deficit, as that is clipped by Barber. Thomas Barber, the senior, sets up second and long. He has been such a massive force for that defense.
What's a Minnesota game without a Barber name involved? That family has been involved with Minnesota football for a long, long time, and that senior linebacker just made a heck of a play.
Dad played in the late 70s, early 1980. Brother Marion, tremendous running back as well, had an NFL career that you certainly remember, as Seth Williams has to 360 and gets dropped behind the original line of scrimmage, and it's third down.
This is a huge play in this game. Looks like Zach Coney Dorr, 16 in white, down on the turf. The cornerback has had an outstanding season. But this drive is critical for Auburn.
So Durr is down, third and long for Nix, who's only run 15 plays when we come back.
Stream your favorite sports, stories, and series with ESPN Plus, Disney Plus, and Hulu. Get all 3 for just $12.99 a month.
Third down and long for Auburn, which Minnesota has kept in check offensively.
The one thing that Nix has to do is stay away from that All-American safety, Winfield, number 11.
7 picks this year for Antoine Winfield Jr.
He's hanging back, lurking, looking.
Carter Coughlin coming, couldn't get off the block. Nix sends it downfield. He's got the tight end, Spencer Nye. His second grab of the year, and it's first down Auburn.
Big play. We talked about Nix and his ability to make things happen and make the big play. Extended that play with his legs.
Now Boobie Whitlow. Auburn just has never had a rhythm offensively so far in this game as Barber gets a stop.
No rhythm, only 17 plays. But this play here. Now, more than 85% of Nix's throws are outside the hash. He likes to escape to the right as well. So that was normal and comfortable for him, and smart not to have a freshman quarterback throw over the middle of the field, because you know the middle of the field is dark and full of terrors.
Full of terrors.
Yes.
Full of terrors, even in 2020.
Linebackers and safeties.
They'll go with the wide receiver jet sweep there, Shivers, to set up third down. So they use so many tailbacks. They have so much motion receivers, running backs, and Shivers sets up the third down.
You know, Minnesota has handled all of the eye candy that Auburn has thrown at them so far. All the shifting, all the motion, and the idea behind all that eye candy is to make the defense freeze and think and forget about their assignment and not know their next assignment.
Here comes a blitz. Look for a little dump off to the running back.
Sorry Marin is coming, and Nix spins it out, incomplete for Will Hastings. That's the replacement for Kamal Martin, Mariano Sorry Marin from Mokina, Illinois, who brought the pressure straight up the eyes of Nix.
Yeah, Minnesota is not a heavy blitz team. Good timing there by them to bring that. Good anticipation by Nix to get it out there, but not much you can do.
No man's land again. They're going for it.
Yep.
Fourth down for Auburn.
Again, Nix has to be aware of Antoine Winfield. Sitting right there.
Father, 14 years in the NFL. He's a ball hawk and a timeout. Auburn. Gus Malzahn wants to talk it over.
30 seconds, timeout.
Winfield reads things very, very well. You know, he has 2 years of eligibility left, but he can come out for the draft and hasn't made up his mind about that. But we saw him early this year, and we could tell in week 1, week 2, he was going to have an All-American type season.
Best smile. He's got the All-American smile. Best we've seen this year.
He smiles about himself smiling. I mean, it's double counting. He's an awesome young man. You can tell the pedigree of his dad. And don't forget, Monday, January 13th, College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. Joe Burrow and LSU against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, 8 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. We talked about this Auburn defense. They had great success, more than anybody else, against LSU this year.
I watched that tape a couple of times, and Auburn played LSU well enough to win that game. Their defense really played well.
4th down and 5 for Auburn's offense. Freshman Bo Nix, free runner coming. He got by Coughlin, wings it downfield, and a wide open Sal Cannella touchdown. A couple of years ago, he was a preferred walk-on in junior college. Now here at Auburn, he scores in his final game.
Well, we told you he likes to escape to his right. Don't attack the upfield shoulder. He gets out there, and the middle of the field does not scare Bo Nix.
Such a great ad-libber. Very young in his collegiate football career. Auburn's longest play of the day from scrimmage goes for a touchdown to Cannella.
When you find a quarterback who can handle the pressure and make the big plays, you know you can work with everything else.
Schaumburg's finest, Sal Cannella.
Yeah, like Gus Malzahn says, Bo Nix will win a national championship. There's Sal Cannella. You see him get past the initial chuck that the linebacker gave him and just slips in between the safeties. Everyone ignored him because of the rollout by Nix. Nix with his eyes down the field. Man, he can make the big play.
2 plays on that drive. The conversion to Nix and the touchdown, the ability to extend plays.
Yep.
Minnesota's bringing some heat with Carter Coughlin.
Yep.
Nix, so cool, though. Hard to believe he's a freshman.
Yeah. It's amazing that, Minnesota is all over the notion that Nix likes to escape to his right and that they have to go upfield so you can't let him get around you. But each time on this drive, he was able to get around them. They didn't go to the upfield shoulder for him, and so he made big plays.
We got big plays today. Each team has a 4th down touchdown on its last possession to tie the game at 17. Douglas back to receive, and they'll take it at the 25. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. What a game this has been.
Yeah.
First meeting ever between Minnesota and Auburn. And how often do you see 2 Power 5 teams that just have not gotten together before, but they should do it again if it's anything like this one so far.
It's unusual, and we have, the best players out there for these teams because Auburn's guys who had a chance to say, I'm going to step aside and wait for my NFL day, they're playing, all but one, Nick Coe.
And that's every player's individual decision.
Absolutely.
They're welcome to make their own choice.
Yep.
Some people come back, some people don't. Rodney Smith puts the shoulder down to the 28.
We have approximately 25 players who chose not to play in bowl games and scores of others who decided to play. And I think you and I are in agreement. Those are individual choices for each person to decide what the cost, benefit, what the risk is for them, what they value, what they want to do. And whatever their choice is fine. And we shouldn't be critical. Particularly, we're not too critical of coaches who decide to leave and not finish a season with their team.
Yeah, that's right. It's individual choice, and you're not necessarily a bad teammate because you've decided to pursue all of the money that comes along with the NFL, but you're not dumb for wanting to play with your team in a final game as big as this one either. Tanner Morgan going for a deep shot. We haven't seen that today, and it's incomplete. Looking for Bateman down the edge.
That was great cornerback play, squeezing Bateman to the sideline. Now, Bateman's job is to make sure that he gives his quarterback enough room to drop that ball in. But he can't because Igbenogany does a good job of squeezing and forcing him to the sideline.
Great track and field man, Noah Igbenogany. Talented athlete. There's Brown, the big guy in the middle. They'll run and get the first down with Ibrahim. Third and long run is a tendency for Minnesota.
Yeah, double team on Davidson inside. Opened up a huge running lane. They're doing such a terrific job. I'm sure they're running the ball much better than they expected they would in the first half of this game.
Morgan surveying. Morgan for Johnson, who goes to the high point and climbs the mountain at the 30-yard line. It's a gain of 29.
Great pass protection for Morgan. Gave him plenty of time to find Johnson in the middle of the field. Look at that. How about Johnson going up high to get that? Post pattern.
Well, look, he went to Minneapolis North High School. He played for the Polars. That was their mascot. So it fits that he would go to the very top of the world to make a play in his final game.
I like that.
Thank you. First down for Minnesota. Rodney Smith is drilled. Igbenogany blasted it.
Yeah, only a matter of time before Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, says, you know what? I'm going to add something here. I'm going to add a little bit of pressure. Going to bring a corner blitz. I'll bring safety blitzes. Q, you like that?
Oh, yeah, he's got to turn up the heat with really how surprising it's been that they haven't been able to stop the run with their four up front. And now we're seeing Minnesota operate at a glacial pace here. I'm going to try to end this half with a field goal attempt or a couple shots in the end zone.
Remember, Auburn does get the ball at a halftime. Could be a key drive for the Gophers. Clock winding down on Morgan. And they will run once again. Ibrahim sneaks through, invites contact, and pinballs out of bounds. Oh, muscle from Ibrahim into Thomas.
Watch what happens over here. There's your big-time defensive end that they actually turn Davidson inside and create a lane for Ibrahim. This offensive line has played remarkably in this first half.
Auburn gives up 115 yards on the ground per game. They've allowed 135 before halftime here in the Outback Bowl. Multiple tight ends again. Rodney Smith through the car wash and just short of the 10.
And he's running so hard, falling forward, being physical.
PJ Fleck says it's like having a grandfather on the field with how well he knows this team and this offense and what kind of teammate he is.
Well, he's been around for a while, and he's a guy that you root for because he tore his ACL in 2018, set out, and is finishing up with a terrific season and a terrific individual year.
Tanner Morgan loads it up, throws the slant, and has a first down and goal to Tyler Johnson once again.
They got the slant back. That is bread and butter for Minnesota. The slant route and the outside zone, that stretch play.
Now they're rushing to the line. Not necessarily a need to do that. Morgan, end zone. That would have been a wild grab for Johnson, but he was out of bounds. Oh no! They say touchdown! Unreal if he got that foot in.
Oh, I don't know about that.
That would be totally outrageous.
If he did that, oh my goodness. SportsCenter top play. You kidding me? No way he gets his foot down.
The crowd reacted to the replay. Let's see.
Oh,
is
look
the
at that.
toe on the line, or is it?
He's got green there.
Is a catch for a touchdown. The previous play.
From this angle, there's green. Toe, ball, green. Wow.
Complete control?
Yeah.
Or is that ball moving around?
That's the other question.
That's a one-handed catch there.
Well, he didn't catch it clean the first time. You'll see it hits his hand, and then he re-catches it.
His foot is still in green as he comes down there. Before the right foot is in on the green, and before the left foot goes to the orange out of bounds, he has control. So to me, Q, the only issue is whether he's in bounds there. And it looks from this angle that it is. And
remember, the call on the field is touchdown.
So we need
evidence to overturn that's indisputable.
Yep.
Will Auburn get the replay overturn hat trick in the end zone? Now,
right foot down, control.
Now, does the toe squeak over the line there as it's, I mean, that is...
It should be indisputable. And that...
Well, see, now there on that look, it doesn't look like there's as much green as we saw in the first place. That's very difficult.
And this is that part of slowing things down to frame by frame that can distort things a little bit. Look, that was a heck of a play, and I think the call on the field was the right call.
We'll see what replay says.
Yeah. Maybe we just go too far with replay.
Well, on a scoring play, a lot of people would say you gotta get that right, though. So I understand the point of it.
But is it right if we really squeeze frame by frame?
Yeah, that's the question. And again, if you had a camera in the wall behind the end zone for that one specific play, obviously that changes the function as well. But we'll see what they say from instant replay. Again, ruling on the field is a touchdown for Tyler Johnson, who, as a senior, has done so much and been through coaching changes and all of that.
Is it clear to you that he was out of bounds?
No, I mean, your point is valid. It should stand based on what we've seen.
Right.
Yeah. Let's see.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
Tyler Johnson with one of the most remarkable catches you're going to see in any bowl season.
That was shocking.
The only people who thought he caught that for a touchdown in the moment were him, maybe Tanner Morgan, and possibly the very positive P.J. Fleck.
It was the combination of the leaping with the one hand and getting the foot down. It was so sudden and so shocking.
Extra point is good. Minnesota has run up 289 yards of offense as there is a flag down on the extra point.
Defense. That penalty is declined. The point is good.
24-17, and coming up on our Mercedes-Benz halftime report, we will check in with the other SEC Big Ten game, Alabama and Michigan, and then preview the Rose Bowl as well. Wisconsin and Oregon coming up.
Are you as stunned as I am? Because this is one of the best defenses in the country, and Minnesota has had its way with them. Now I'm not saying that we didn't expect Minnesota to be in the ball game. The surprise is the way the Minnesota offensive line has manhandled arguably the best defensive line in college football.
Yeah, but with P.J. Fleck and his belief that he learned from Jim Tressel about clock management and grinding the clock down and bleeding teams out on the offense into the defense, he's kept the Auburn defense on the field for long enough to make fatigue a factor, even for seniors who are well-conditioned like Brown.
He's made Auburn uncomfortable. He's made the defense uncomfortable by doing what you said. He's made their offense uncomfortable because they haven't had as many plays.
So 32 seconds for Auburn and 2 timeouts. We'll see what they do. Coming up tomorrow, 2 more great games on ESPN. BC, Cincinnati, the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl at 3 Eastern. Then at 7 Eastern, Indiana and Tennessee in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl in Jacksonville in North Florida. Both games are on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Hey, look. If you're Auburn, are you going to try and drive it here with 32 seconds? You do get the ball back out of halftime.
Oh, I don't think they can afford to just sit on it right now. Their fans that are sitting here in the stands would boo.
Nix check down to the 25 and Will Hastings.
The one thing that Auburn hasn't been able to get done offensively, they haven't been able to get the ball to their speed guys and take advantage of that speed advantage that they have. You know, Schwartz on the crossing routes. You know, Shivers out of the backfield. You know, let those guys run a little bit. They really haven't been able to do that.
They haven't had the ball much.
Well,
I mean, 21 plays. It's got to be difficult as a play caller to find that groove, that wheelhouse where it's just clicking. And coordinators talk about that all the time, where they just kind of forget they're calling plays and it just is in you. It's hard to do with 21 plays.
Twice as many plays, more than twice the time of possession. You know, Gus Malzahn scripts his first 10 plays. And he says he goes in at halftime and they look at what, Minnesota did, and he'll come out in the second half with a shorter script of 3 or 4 plays that he wants to run right off the bat.
Kind of tick some things off. New call sheet in the second half. Nix, the freshman, wheels out of the pocket and gets sacked. Boye Mafe, the redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, when you study the tape and you study the numbers, you know that Nix is not as effective when he moves to his left out of the pocket.
And that is how the first half ends in Florida. Halftime score, Minnesota 24, Auburn 17. The Mercedes-Benz halftime report after this.
This is Capital One Bowl Mania.
Welcome back to the Outback Bowl, a part of Capital One Bowl Mania. Here in Florida, we knew we had 2 well-coached teams. We knew we had 2 class programs, but we didn't expect necessarily that Minnesota, though it's had a great season, would be up by 7 at halftime here in the Outback Bowl 2020. Welcome back in, Jason, Rod, Quint downstairs. Look, you never know what you're going to get in bowl games.
Right.
Tendency breakers, a lot of time to think about it, motivation. Stuff like this happens.
Yeah, this is not about lack of motivation. I think both these programs were plenty motivated for this ball game. Minnesota has controlled this game. They've made Auburn uncomfortable. They've made them uncomfortable on offense because they haven't had the ball. So Auburn has only run 9 plays rushing. Only 9 rushing plays for Auburn. That is not their style. Gus Malzahn came in saying, we're going to run the ball an awful lot. They've had 22 plays in the first half. That's not a comfort space for them. And on the other side of the defense, you expected that defensive line to dominate, but they've been tired too because they've been on the field for 43 plays, and Minnesota has run them from sideline to sideline and run the ball effectively.
It's not a shock to anybody in Big Ten country that Minnesota would play well, though. Let's not say this is that much of a surprise because Minnesota's a great football team. They've got 10 wins. Auburn's one of the toughest teams they've seen all year. As we take a look at what Tyler Johnson did in the first half, this senior has been outstanding. Who's showing up? Presented by the Peloton app. It's number 6.
Yeah, he's working. Initially, they had him a little press coverage. They moved him inside to the slot. He got away from people, and this touchdown catch, my goodness. The body control, one-handed catch, gets the foot down. Yeah, he's working.
7 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. And look, he won a high school basketball state championship at Minneapolis North. Basically, as the story goes, the school was on the verge of possibly closing, and Tyler Johnson helped keep it open. Rashad Bateman, his teammate, called him, quote, Savior Ty, King of the North.
He's the pride.
Yesterday.
He's the pride of, that north side of Minneapolis. That means a lot to him.
Quint.
Gus Malzahn just told me flat out, we just have to play more inspired. Joined by a little friend here. We got to play more inspired. And when you look at their lack of success on the ground, I think that's what stood out. Perhaps Bo Nix becomes more of a running threat in the second half. The other thing, you think about their offensive tackles. They're both seniors. They're both going to all-star games. They have not been able to control the edge in any way. And then Seth Williams, 2 receptions, only 4 targets. This was a guy who had a great year. He had 55 catches. He's averaging 80 yards a game. He has been unproductive in this game, but according to the coach, it starts with the will, the motivation, the inspiration. He's got to start seeing an edge and some energy and some fight from his Tigers.
You're like David Copperfield. You made Goldie disappear with your graphic, by the way, Quint. That was very impressive. Look at Auburn's first half.
Yeah, that's awful. Keep away. Minnesota's been playing keep away.
And that's the story of the season for P.J. Fleck and the Gophers, who are 10-2. There's Goldie. He's okay. Quint didn't completely make him disappear. Good to see. Always happy. Goldie's got a smile on his face. P.J. Fleck. Always
I thought you were talking about
dapper.
Q.
Mostly
always happy.
Yeah. Trying to cut back. Quint on the happy.
I thought he looked good with those defensive linemen in that shirt.
Yeah, it was a good fit for him.
Kind of intimidating with all those monsters around him.
When one man's arm is bigger than another man's waist, we've got issues.
We have a whale of a second half coming as they will bounce it instead of letting Igbenogany field it after his touchdown earlier. This is Shanker on the return. John Samuel Shanker, the tight end, to the 31-yard line. So Bo Nix, the freshman of the year in the SEC, 9 for 13 for 105. Just not a lot of opportunity to see the football.
Yeah, this is a huge drive for Auburn. They've put things up on the board. They've come out with a new short script of plays, things that they expect to work. Their confidence will increase if they do work.
On first down, DJ Williams up the gut. About halfway to the marker, second down, and we didn't see a whole lot of the Auburn rush game. 5 rush yards in half number 1.
Yeah, I think you'll see a bigger commitment to running the football by Auburn in this second half.
They'll bring Shivers from the receiver spot. And he's bottled up. Tried to get an extra yard by driving the legs, and third down for Auburn.
Both plays coming out of the half. The zone read, inside zone read, to get them to a 3rd and short. Do they stick with that, or is it time to let Bo Nix use his legs?
His extemporaneous ability in the first half got him downfield a couple of times. Once on the touchdown to Canella on 4th down. Fake to Whitlow. Nix is dropped. Sam Renner, the redshirt senior who started as a walk-on, dropped him.
Watch the move Renner makes right here. He's the guy that's able to split, spin, get around, and just take care of Nix in the backfield. I mean, that's a one-on-one play that he wins.
Nix and Malzahn discussing it as Douglas is back to return the punt. And a 3-and-out for Minnesota's defense to open the second half after the game began with a Gopher interception thrown that looked like a bad sign at the time. They'll go from the 25. Aerial coverage presented by Goodyear, introducing the newest honorary member of the College Football Hall of Fame, the Goodyear Blimp. More driven.
And let's see if this offensive line continues to have its way with this phenomenal defensive line, or does Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator, start adding guys to the mix to try and deal with this rushing attack, bringing his linebackers or bringing a safety down?
Rodney Smith, just short of the 30-yard line, in the arms of KJ Britt. Well, Kevin Steele talked about the way his defensive line kind of flows and the way that they will deal with this Minnesota offensive line, that the linemen essentially become linebackers in a way, but there's not been that freedom so far.
They're so fast, and they're so quick to take away the outside run. And because they have two studs inside, most teams can't run inside on them.
Smith galloping to the 34, third and short for Minnesota.
Yeah, it's predominantly a zone blocking scheme, sort of elephants on parade, where they just want to get movement and push. And the thought was that Auburn's athletes on defense were going to be able to get some penetration, get their hands on offensive linemen, get into space and make plays without help from linebackers. That hasn't been the case.
The Q, they're really working on Brown inside. He's getting doubled and he's getting cut. He's right here in the middle there. Let's see if they go at him. They just moved him around now.
They moved him at the snap. Minnesota runs toward him, and this is very close. It looks like right at the line to gain at the 36 for Ibrahim. And it's a first down, Minnesota.
And this is right out of the P.J. Fleck playbook. Take your time, run the clock, frustrate the other team.
The Jim Tressel playbook.
Yep, good point. That's what it is.
Constrictor and snuff the life out of this game with a lead.
Morgan off the play action. Rolling, goes to the second level, and it's incomplete on a dive from the senior Johnson.
Now that's one situation where you would tell him, just take the profit. You had your tight end right in front of you. Just take that easy throw and pick up 6-7 yards as opposed to the more difficult throw down there. That's something he'll see on film, or they will come back to later and they'll say, just dump it there, and it's a great first down play.
Honestly, I thought that's where he was going to go.
Me too.
And instead, he's got such confidence in Johnson to make every catch after that touchdown in the first half. Smith got by the initial hit, and Derek Brown finished him off. That was McCreary who tried to size him up, but Brown was there.
Now this third down, I'm curious as to whether Bateman will still have the single coverage, that Igbinoghene has been, giving him all day. And so far, Igbinoghene has been winning that matchup, but they've moved him to the other side. He's got McCreary now.
And they're going to pressure him right up at the line.
Yeah, and if I'm Morgan and I see that's where I'm looking.
There's a safety creeping that direction. Daniel Thomas, the senior. And now he's coming back the other direction. It's an incomplete crossing route looking for Bateman. It was behind him.
If this ball is out in front, Bateman has a chance. Just a crossing route. And you see the little pick there with Johnson trying to knock off McCreary. Throw a flag. That's illegal. You can't do that.
That is offensive pass interference.
That was a complete block.
To be clear. Punt time for Minnesota. Tutt, who muffed one earlier, awaits this one at the 13-yard line. Auburn has it when we come back after a 3-and-out on their opening second half touch.
College football playoff national championship game. Number 1 LSU, number 3 Clemson, January 13th at 8 on ESPN.
Here in Florida, it is 24-17 Minnesota. Bo Nix and the Auburn offense have the ball. The freshman quarterback, who has the name of one Heisman winner for the Auburn Tigers, Bo Jackson, and he's wearing a helmet that is honoring a Heisman winner for Auburn who has passed away just recently. Day after the Iron Bowl, we lost Pat Sullivan, who was such an outstanding player for the Tigers in 1971, a Heisman winner. And this to honor him today here at the Outback Bowl.
Auburn is changing the tempo to try and, get a little energy, change things up a bit.
Nix Far side and a juggle, and indeed he does hang on over at the far side. J.J. Wilson with his 13th catch. He is one of 17 children in his family, J.J. Wilson.
There's a lot we haven't seen out of this offense that we normally do. We haven't seen them attack the safeties. We haven't seen the counter. Only seen one jet sweep out of Auburn.
Nix to Williams. How they started this season against Oregon, and Williams is down. Another third down. Minnesota. Oh boy, a little post-play stuff. Soaring Marin looked like he might have shucked Williams. No flag comes in. Nix keeps, and he's got eyes for the first down. He does have it. That's a big play for Auburn. Here's after the second down play. Wow.
Yeah.
It was Williams who laid into him.
But it looked like actually, Marin was simply trying to slow down the pace of play. Kind of grab him and hold him up a little bit.
That's one way to do it. They use the jet sweep action, and it's Booby Whitlow twirling to the 44-yard line. This is one of the more sustained drives for the Tigers so far in this game.
Yeah, and a little bit more diversity in it. They came out throwing because Minnesota was playing off, giving them room, and now going back to their zone read, their inside zone play.
It's been more crisp.
Yep.
Nix outside again. He's got the tight end, J.J. Wilson, a first down into Minnesota territory.
But remember, this is a defense that really is sort of a bend but don't break style. They will give you things in front. They're pretty good tacklers, pretty sure tacklers. They make you make a mistake, and Antoine Winfield is back there. He's one who takes full advantage of any mistake you make.
He told us yesterday his goal today was 3 interceptions. He hasn't seen a ball his way much today as Nix straight vertically up the pocket, then to the outside. He's got a first down, and some coaches on the Minnesota sideline are hot.
We've seen Nix use his legs twice on this drive, and Auburn's needed it. They're going to need a lot more out of him running the football before this game is over.
His new offensive coordinator, Chad Morris, told us yesterday that Bo Nix has asked him about guys like Taj Boyd, Deshaun Watson, who he coached at Clemson, as Whitlow swung down by Chris Williamson, the redshirt senior who quit yesterday. PJ Fleck was telling us he's so excited to see what this young man does in the future and very sad to see him go.
Yeah, we asked him which senior he'll miss the most, and he pointed to Williamson, the transfer from Florida. Said he's grown up the most, and he's a funny cat. He said he brings the spirit every day, and he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, but Minnesota is locked into recruiting down in the South, in Florida and Georgia. They're getting out to different places now.
Yeah, Atlanta's finest. Williamson. Fake it to Shivers. Nix down the middle, incomplete. It ricocheted off the hands of Bo Jackson's nephew, Shedrick.
Yeah, Bo won't be happy about that one. That's one that Shedrick knows he should have come up with.
Both Bo's won't be happy about that one.
Yeah, true. Now here comes Minnesota with their third down pass rushing package. They bring in 3 guys who are just racehorses. One job, go get the quarterback.
Williams is at the top of the screen. Minnesota typically blitzes the side of the running back.
They rush 4, and it's incomplete for Williams, who thought he got held by St. Just.
And really good coverage by St. Just over there. Now, there is a flag. I thought that Williams lost his footing over there.
Flag came in late from the backside official.
Defense, number 22. The ball be placed at the spot of foul. Automatic.
Yeah, they said 22. It's got to be 25.
Yeah, they tangled up, Rod, and then both lost their feet. The fields have been a little slick today, but man, St. Just a good-looking corner, 6'3".
Yeah, that's unusual to get that call over there because both guys extended their arms. And usually when there's mutual combat like that, there's not a flag.
And the Auburn fans say he got her dude by the neck. This to the sideline, and Williams with a beautiful grab right at the edge. Seth Williams, so reliable, a gain of 17.
Wow, what hands. What a catch this is.
First and goal, Auburn. Ball comes loose. Whitlow dropped it. And the Auburn offensive line, Prince Tega Winogo, got on top of it.
Boobie Whitlow. Ball was exposed. He couldn't hang on to it. Fortunate bounce for Auburn.
They put the ball on the ground an awful lot this year. 24th fumble. They've lost 10 of them. Whitlow's patented spin move.
Shivers couldn't get in. He had a similar run to the other side against Alabama, but two Gophers hemmed him in.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy, but he's awfully powerful. You may recall that in that Alabama game, he ran through a defender and knocked his helmet off.
Nix is coming off, by the way, Rod, for this third down and goal.
Boobie Whitlow, Wildcat.
They'll run motion. Whitlow keeps it and jumps in. Touchdown, Boobie Whitlow.
How about the patience Whitlow shows on this? He waits for it to develop. He's not in a hurry, and once he spots it, there he goes.
We don't need to review this one.
No, I don't think
it's a
so.
touchdown.
Now that drive, the key thing to that drive was the pace. The up-tempo pace that Malzahn went to on that drive changed everything for Auburn.
We've been tied at 3-3, 10-10, 17-17, and 24-24 here in 2020. What a way to ring in 2020. We are tied at 24, Minnesota and Auburn, as we take a look back at our great clips drive recap for the Tigers.
And the Auburn offense is back. Bo Nix started 5 of 6 on that drive. Then he went to his legs to come up with a big play. Great catch by Williams to get them in the side of the goal line. And then the patient running of Boobie Whitlow to get into the end zone. And you got the sense and feel that the rhythm has come back for the Auburn offense.
5 of 6, 43 yards for Bo Nix. It's interesting watching these two offenses, right? Because Auburn is so clever, so creative. Minnesota's like a bunch of tract houses that all look the same, but they do exactly what you want, right?
Yeah.
It's such an entertaining contrast.
People
we got
tract homes don't like you.
20 minutes left. (24-24) in the Outback Bowl 2020. Minnesota and Auburn, Big Ten and the SEC. As we look at the Bowl Challenge Cup standings, brought to you by Progressive, and a good start for the SEC at 4-1 so far. Big 12 has struggled.
Oh boy, 1-4.
Big Ten, SEC going on over on ABC as well, with Michigan and Alabama tangling. That's a one-score game. Two-screen experience, a good idea this afternoon on New Year's Day. On first down, Minnesota. Smith with a flag in, has Johnson. And Tyler Johnson to the 35, double check the marker.
Holder, offense, number 51, 10-yard penalty, still, first down.
It's the young man from Jacksonville, Curtis Dunlap Jr., wiping out a 40-yard gain.
Oh, and they had it set up perfectly, and I don't know that the hold was necessary.
Don't know whether that guy likes the call less or his friend less. We saw in the crowd. Gopher fans terribly disappointed. And just when you say it's just machine-like offense for Minnesota, they pull it right out of the bag of tricks, but cannot get the gain to stick. How do they handle 1st and 20 as their new lot in life. It's Morgan to throw behind Demetrius Douglas.
That is a very, very tight window to try to make that throw into. You have a couple of Auburn defenders sitting there. Again, the number one thing for the Auburn defense coming into this ball game, take away that slant.
Now the Tigers, sorry, Rod.
Go ahead, Q.
No, I was just going to say they bring in fresh legs here. Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown off the bench, and here comes some pass rush.
And Brown is now on the wide side of the field as a tackle. Maybe a little bit better advantage for him to avoid a double team.
Big Cat Bryant looks like he's got smoke coming out of his ears. He couldn't get around the corner, though. And Tyler Johnson sets up a 3rd down and doable.
Yeah, they caught Auburn in a little bit of a zone there. So that slant was open right behind the linebackers who, bought that fake on that run pass option, opened up the middle of the field. You don't get a whole lot of zone defense out of Auburn. Big 3rd down for Minnesota.
3rd and 7. Gophers are such a good 3rd down team for the year. Tanner Morgan struggled today. Screen for Johnson, had a lot of air under it, and Johnson is just short. It looked as though if that came out a little hotter, he had more room to go.
Yeah, the timing was off on that. You can't go here.
Oh, P.J. Fleck is thinking about it.
You can't go here. You're backed up.
That last play, Rod, a great effort play from Marlon Davidson and Derek Brown as they were rushing the quarterback.
Yep. Pivoted
and then hustled it down to prevent the 1st down. Just a great, relentless effort.
Yeah, Q, they disrupted the timing on that because Tanner Morgan wasn't able to deliver that ball quickly.
And a flag comes down on the punt. Going to be a false start. Just the 6th penalty of our game.
False start. Offense. Left side of the line. 5-yard penalty. Still. 4th down.
Hey, you never like when they get an entire side of your line. Pick a number. Anybody. Everybody.
Yeah. But what an effort by this defense, and up front in particular. You think about what Marlon Davidson has been doing lately and what Brown did. That last play, as Q mentioned, was disrupted because of their efforts.
You're going to see a lot of these guys on the defensive side playing on Sundays and Mondays and Thursdays. Another juggle for Todd. And he's down to the 35. All right, we're going to take a look at today's PlayStation Player Impact Rating as a marker has come in on the punt return. We'll check the marker at the end of the play. Let's see.
After the play was over, dead ball, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, receiving team number 21. 15-yard penalty, Auburn football, 1st down.
So damaging for Auburn.
Field position. This backs them up dramatically.
Smoke Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, needless.
Yeah, unnecessary. Great names on this Auburn team. Smoke Monday.
You got Smoke and a Big Cat. Booby Whitlow.
Big Cat.
And Derek Brown as well, who's a big enough name. Marlon Davidson as well as our PlayStation Player Impact Rating. Davidson, you see 45 pressures. That's hurries and pressures and quarterback knockdowns. Anything that hustles up the quarterback. This is a wide open man. Schwartz across the 35 for an Auburn 1st down. So we talked about Marlon Davidson and the other 5, Derek Brown. Davidson creating this offensive possession along with Brown, and we'll see if Auburn can pay it off.
Yeah.
Booby Whitlow, 2nd down.
Didn't you get the sense this 3rd quarter that the Auburn defense, Marlon Davidson in particular, starting to really impact the Minnesota offense, and the Auburn offense now in rhythm, in control a little bit?
And you see how damaging penalties can be to a ship that has to be so tight for P.J. Fleck in Minnesota. They don't get penalized much, but when they do, it's a trouble spot. Whitlow carving the defense for a first down. That was a nifty run as Winfield finally had to take him down.
Look, this is a senior-laden offensive line for Auburn. They call this game their last ride, and they're starting to get it going. Good double team inside, allowing Whitlow to find that hole and cut to his left and pick up that first. I didn't quite pick up the first down.
Patience by Whitlow. Malzahn said we need him to get the tough yards when the game's on the line.
He's been that guy for Auburn at points this year. He's driven back for a loss of about 2 on that carry, the sophomore.
Yeah, Q, I'm still waiting for Auburn to get Williams in the slot and attack the safeties.
Yeah, he's top of the screen right now. Let's see maybe if Schwartz, 5 and blue, maybe on a jet or a crossing route where he can get some yards after catch.
Nix looks the other way. Pressure came from Otomewa, and this is incomplete to the sideline. We wanted Jackson, third down.
Minnesota's got to be happy with that, forcing Nix to his left. His completion percentage drops when he leaks out to the left. Much stronger to the right. Big third down and 11. And again, where is Williams? You get him in the right matchup. He's top of the screen. He's the one you want.
They bring in all those defensive ends. Tayon Devers, Boye Mafe, the money package for Minnesota on the defensive line. Here comes Coughlin. 2 free runners. Nix has to tuck it. He lost the ball out of bounds. And it's 4th down and about 9 for Auburn from near midfield. You think about it here if you're Gus Malzahn?
Nope.
Not at all.
Nope.
He thought about it earlier, but this spot, I agree with you. You're not going to play that game right now.
No, I'm just waiting for our Australian kicker to come on the field, of which we have, 47, 48 of in Power 5?
Yeah, it's in the 40s.
All right, so we have a national punting crisis because we can't develop, punters here.
Rod, once again, is import-export expert.
What did coaches tell us?
Oh! High snap, and he's going to throw it. Incomplete, so they do end up going for it down the middle of the field for Shanker.
No flag, wow. Shanker was being held around the hips the entire way down the field.
And
Gus Malzahn's arguing that very point right now. Watch the replay here on the coverage. Center your screen.
47.
Yeah.
Now, again, remember, touching a receiver, having a hand on him, is not pass interference. It is a turn. It is a impeding or so you can't get a flag by just having your hand on someone.
They'll run it on first down after the turnover, and Ibrahim is right around the line to gain.
That's the end of the first quarter. Third quarter.
So 4 ties in the game. Gus Malzahn still arguing. PJ Fleck has moved along, and so will we when we come back. Winner gets that trophy here in Florida, the Outback Bowl, 24-24 as we go along to the fourth quarter. Thanks for joining us, Jason Benetti, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kesnick. Look, Minnesota wins its first 9 games. Auburn plays one of the toughest schedules in the country, and they clash, and we've got awesome results so far.
A big SEC Big Ten matchup with both teams clearly motivated for this. There's no question about Auburn being into this ball game. This was a business trip for them, not a reward, and they're showing you they're totally into it.
Auburn is the only team in the country to play 5 of the top 13 in the college football playoff this year, as that's a first down for Minnesota.
I thought it was interesting that Gus Malzahn wanted to talk about the lesson that they learned from losing to Central Florida a couple of years ago, and said at that point they said bowl games were no longer rewards. They were business trips, and they would treat the practices accordingly. Now, the danger in that
As Green's going to come in and play some Wildcat. Morgan split out up top. Green keeps it. And Green extends the play down to the 31, shoulder first.
Yeah, there's 240 pounds for you. The danger in making your bowl game a business trip is that all that work can turn off some players. So if you don't have complete buy-in with the players, you can get a lackluster performance. But when you have a Pied Piper like Derek Brown, everybody buys in that it is a business trip and it's not a reward. The beach and everything else can wait until later.
Yeah, they believe the reward is going out with another win for the guys on their team who feel like brothers, is what Brown has said. Davidson among others. NFL talent all over this defense. Morgan plays out the fake as Ibrahim gets driven back.
What a play by Brown. He pushes his man into the backfield and then turns around and goes and makes the tackle.
Derek Brown, who comes in with school squat records. He has 3 strip sacks this year. I mean, all sorts of stuff. Can you imagine him as a high school basketball player, by the way? Because he was. That's a tank down low.
Anything he wants to do.
Another handoff and a stonewall in the middle of that defense. Ibrahim got drilled. It looked like KJ Britt got in there and popped him just short of the line to gain.
Now, I know this has been one of your pet peeves, the spotting with the left foot or the right foot in the age of technology.
Well, you see so many times it's so close, and one guy's got it one place and one guy's got it another. As Britt is down, it's going to be short of the line to gain, and it's going to be 4th down and 1 when we come back. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. The best part of every kickoff is the drive that comes next. Go further with Goodyear. More driven. 4th down Minnesota, and the Gophers are going for it early 4th quarter.
Are they?
Looks like it. They got the offense out on the field.
Are they going for it, or are they simply attempting to draw Auburn off sides?
Let us see.
Now remember, when you want to do something like this, the guy you don't run to is number 5.
Now here comes the eye backfield. Tight ends galore. Morgan steps back.
Well, 2 steps back means you're not going, right?
Oh, he is going.
Oh.
Straight ahead into the teeth of the defense, and it depends on the spot.
Did he lose the ball?
There's the whistle. The pile kept moving. And let's see what's unearthed.
How do you know?
It's tough.
Initial push didn't look good. I thought there was a secondary push later in the play that maybe crossed the first down marker.
And remember, the call on the field is so important here because it would be so difficult based on the scrum.
Not a great spot.
Is that the snap was muffed, recovered by a member of the offensive team. We have the spot. We will have a measurement.
So let's see.
Yeah, so the ball was lost. I thought I did see it come loose there.
Gus Malzahn looks perplexed on the sideline. So first of all, we got to see what the spot's going to be on the field, if it's first down or not. And you would imagine, very likely, whatever the call on the field is won't be overturned, but we'll see.
Well, that's our marker. That's not official.
Yeah, the yellow line is not official.
But by our marker, that would be a first down.
We sit and wait, and he's just short by a fingernail.
And that's why it's not official.
Let's watch the snap again as Auburn gets the hold.
Yep. Lost it right off the bat. And couldn't tell where the ball was after that.
I mean, you got no shot. You'd have to have a computer chip in the ball to know where the official spot was.
Which might be a fine idea for marking first downs.
For Minnesota fans right now, certainly. So here comes Williams and the Auburn run game that's turned aside on first down.
We talked about explosive plays for the Auburn offense, that when they're humming normally, 9 plays of 20 yards or more a game is what they look for. They have 2 of those today. Only 2.
You talk a lot about motivation. Marlon Davidson's eyes tell the story about how much Auburn cares about this game and how important a January 1st Outback Bowl is to him and his defensive cohorts. Shoulder blocking teammates on the sideline as third down is coming up off the run from DJ Williams.
Look, just watch and listen to some of the hitting that's going on out there, and that'll tell you how much these players care about this game.
And each other.
This is the Minnesota pass rush. They bring in these guys on third down.
They call it their money package. 4 DNs.
Maffei and Coughlin together at the bottom. Maffei backs into coverage. On the side, Nix rolls out on, and Maffei played it well. It's incomplete as Otomewa came from the backside with the pressure.
He had nowhere to go with the ball. That's good pressure affecting the quarterback. That pass rush package we talked about came in and did its job, and now Minnesota has to feel good about a 3 and out they got defensively.
And a team that knows how to sap time off the clock. Minnesota will get the ball back. Douglas fades to the sideline. Demetrius Douglas yanked out by the shirt. That was Daniel Thomas on the coverage. 5 Eastern time. Stay right here. Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual as Oregon battles Wisconsin, and then Georgia and Baylor in the All-State Sugar Bowl. Both games also available on the ESPN app. And I go back to the tape we watched of Auburn and Oregon.
Yep.
Game 1 this year. You think of, first of all, how great it is when 2 power teams decide to play each other early in the year. And second of all, how much it changed the course of both of those teams early in the season, and especially Bo Nix, the freshman.
We have to respect those games and honor those teams that play that. We want more games like that. We shouldn't penalize them.
Morgan loads it up. Down the middle. Wide open Johnson. Tyler Johnson. Touchdown. He torched Smoke Monday on a 73-yard touchdown.
It all begins with the pass protection. They go max pro. Look at all the guys protecting Morgan. And when you play man coverage and you can't handle Johnson, you got a problem. But it all began up front. They went max pro to make sure that Morgan had plenty of time to get that done.
I go back to what Rashad Bateman called Tyler Johnson yesterday, somewhat in jest, somewhat not. Savior Ty, King of the North. Hit 6 for Minnesota in the 4th.
The Outback Bowl, brought to you by Outback Steakhouse. Hurry in January 2nd for your free bloomin' onion or coconut shred.
Full bloom for the Minnesota offense right now on the 11th catch for Tyler Johnson, who now is the all-time Golden Gopher touchdown receiving guy in history. He did it earlier with that wild catch in the back of the end zone. He adds to his lead, number 36 of his career. And what a farewell for that soon-to-be graduating senior.
And isn't it appropriate that a guy from North Minneapolis gets that record?
Tremendously. He stayed home to play for his city and to play for his family. And now he's got Minnesota holding the lead. Igbenogany off the spin as we go back to the touchdown for Johnson.
Yeah, really smart thing by Minnesota, getting Johnson in the slot. He looks up and he sees a free safety in Smoke Monday. He says, oh, really? A free safety, man-to-man, in the middle wide open. Look how he crosses him over, gives him the old, I'm going outside. No, I'm not. You go outside. I got the middle of the field for the post. It is wide open. Morgan sees it. That's a really well-designed play, getting Tyler Johnson on the free safety with that slot position.
Design roll for Nix to Schwartz on the sideline. This Minnesota team is so well connected. When you we've talked to 3 separate sets of defensive coaches, and they all have said they know what they do, and they do it well.
Yeah, not complicated, not a whole lot of moving parts to it, but they do it over and over and over, and they do it well.
Will Hastings slams on the brakes. He's got a first down short of midfield.
Felt like Auburn offensively has been at their best today when they've upped the pace, used tempo, moved quickly.
The problem there, Rod, is they continue to substitute. They're so versatile in their formations, their personnel packages, that anytime they substitute, it kind of slows things down.
Yep.
Boobie Whitlow to the 50-yard line. And look, Auburn trailing by 7. They want to win this game very badly, but there's extra value with a sophomore tailback in Whitlow and a freshman quarterback in Bo Nix, and what you can get confidence-wise as a springboard into next year and a team that they think can really compete for an SEC championship.
I think that's right. And a schedule next year that won't be as bad as this year.
Nix pulls it back, and he slings, and it's incomplete, nearly intercepted by St. Just.
I think he misread the coverage. He was thinking that he was going to have Williams over there, single coverage, but it was really double coverage, a 2-deep zone with St. Just underneath, and he dropped back there and almost picked that off.
Seth Williams, a reaction of frustration on the incompletion. Auburn bogs down at midfield for the moment.
And look who is sneaking around the area where Williams is. Winfield.
And here he comes on the blitz, Winfield. He got the hands in the face of Nix. And it's Antoine Winfield Jr., the All-American, with a fist in the air.
Well, you knew he would make a play at a critical moment. You don't make All-American unless you do things like that. Look at the way he just destroys the pass protection.
We asked him yesterday what he wants to do that his father never did, and his answer was win a Super Bowl, and it came out immediately.
I wouldn't doubt him with anything.
Really?
Was that a lean towards coming out after this game?
Aha, there you go, Rod.
The Gophers hope certainly not. But Antoine Winfield Jr. is so fun to watch as this goes bounding into the end zone for a touchback. Just the 3rd this year for Sipos. Hey, Inside the College Football Playoff is now streaming on ESPN+. Episode 2 now available. Behind the scenes, following the days right after the semifinal. LSU and Clemson getting ready to face each other in the national championship game, January 13th.
What do you like?
That LSU offense is so scary, and I know Trevor Lawrence had that look in his eye at the end of the Ohio State game. I'd take LSU by 3. You?
I can't go against Trevor Lawrence.
I don't dispute that call at all. But Joe Burrow,
it'll be a great game.
Oof. Rodney Smith stood up and dropped. Owen Papo, the freshman linebacker, with a beautiful open field tackle.
Auburn is set defensively going forward with this group of linebackers. And they're going to lose Brown and some tremendous defensive line guys, but they've got some other ones waiting in the wings. They'll be a good defensive team next year as well.
Youth movement certainly, but some leaders still remain. And now Minnesota so effective at milking clock. Slant route. Johnson. He's got more slant catches than anybody in the nation, and he ends up at the 40-yard line.
That was the run-pass option. Morgan decides after the snap whether he's going to give the ball. Look, there's the fake. He's reading that wing, that overhang player, and then he decides, the slant is there. I will throw it because that guy came up to play the run.
And he slides down inbounds just in case.
Top well, keep the clock moving.
12 catches, 204 yards. The farewell tour is memorable for Tyler Johnson.
Well, remember how the game started for him.
Minnesota's offense had an interception on the opening drive.
Well, Tyler Johnson, when the game began, was one of the outside receivers, and he was having trouble getting off the line of scrimmage with the press coverage. They moved him into the slot, gave him more room, and it's resulted in a huge day for him.
And now Minnesota will let the clock roll and roll. Inconvenient at the very least when you're an opponent on defense against Minnesota's offense and you're trailing. Smith out of the backfield, whirls and drives ahead for a first down, Minnesota.
That's nothing more than a long handoff. It's essentially a running play. Get the ball out to Smith quickly out of the backfield. Stay in bounds, keep the clock running, continue to frustrate everybody dressed in blue on the other sideline.
And at some point, when do you take the chances if you're Kevin Steele, the defensive coordinator? Although he's an aggressive play caller anyway.
He'll bring it soon, but not yet.
Play action Morgan. Now he does take the short one, and that's chopped down immediately. Span forward, undercut by Thomas, the senior. Originally a commit to Minnesota, Daniel Thomas, who ended up at the very late stages of recruiting, staying close to home at Auburn, makes the stop to set up 2nd and 11.
That's right. He had just the Minnesota offer and came up to visit and was going to go here until he got the last-minute offer out of Auburn.
2nd down run. So Matt Simon, the de facto offensive coordinator, Kurt Shiraka leaves, goes to Penn State, and Simon has called an outstanding game so far for the Gophers, Quinn.
Yeah, basically he is stamping his resume with this game plan and with the success. Think about 31 points on this Tiger defense. What did LSU score against Auburn? The 23?
They had their worst offensive game of the year against Auburn.
Absolutely, and Simon has really shown well in terms of getting the inside run game going, the RPO. He's taking his shots. They've been creative. They've kept Auburn uncomfortable all game long.
Here's the slot for Johnson.
Rodney Smith, 3rd down run, and now they're in striking distance. An intriguing decision coming up for P.J. Fleck. Go
4th down and how much?
About 1.5, it looks like.
Well, he said he was going to be aggressive. There's the discussion right now. If you go for it and you don't get it, you give midfield to Auburn.
Reading lips, it looked like he just said he's going to call timeout when the play clock gets down to 1.
Smart. Burn some more clock and then talk it through. If you have your 4th down play that you have a lot of confidence in, then you run it. But if that 4th down play is one where you got to block number 3 or number 5, you go,
Timeout.
I don't know about that. Maybe we should punt it.
Timeout. We'll see what he chooses. When we come back, Minnesota by 7. Take a look at our What's in Store this postseason, brought to you by Macy's. It's the national championship game of the college football playoff. LSU and Clemson, January 13th, 8 Eastern on ESPN. And if it's anything like this, you're going to stick around for the last moment. 4th down, Minnesota. They've scored on a 4th down and gotten stopped.
They don't have very many 4th down plays left. They've used their best ones. You're up 7. I don't think you go for it here.
I think you got to have points if you can in any way. We'll see. Maybe try and draw them off sides. They do snap it. Morgan with pressure. Oh, what a catch! Bryce with
What
him.
a catch.
He had the touchdown on the 4th down earlier. It's his 5th of his career.
What are the odds that they had 2 4th down pass plays to him? I'm not so certain that they just didn't adjust that on the sideline.
With Jake Paulson, the starter, out, Bryce with him out of nowhere. Might have his own lake named after him by the end of today. First down run. Ibrahim across the 25. Davidson had the pressure. Auburn had what they wanted.
What a catch. Morgan gave him a chance. He put it up there to give him a chance to get it, and all the pressure was coming in from Davidson, and Morgan still managed to get it off.
Witham nearly got tied up on the line of scrimmage. He did a great job disengaging from the Auburn defender to get himself out on the route, and the trajectory of the pass gave him time to get under it.
Second down, and a marker comes in on the back end of the play with 2:21, and the clock is still rolling, so they're going to have to reset the clock by about 5 seconds, you'd think.
Holding, offense, number 60, 10-yard penalty, second down.
And so now you have
Please
questions
set the game
about
clock
field goal
to
range.
2 minutes and 22 seconds, and the game clock will start on the snap.
That was John Michael Schmitz on the hold.
So Michael Lance standing and waiting. And Gopher fans who just can't really get used to the heat in January with all their cold weather gear on from up in Minneapolis. And there you see what PJ Fleck has told us he's comfortable with in terms of distance to make it a 2-score game. Ibrahim nearly kept upright, and he's down to the 30.
Time for Auburn to start thinking about their timeouts.
Timeouts and clock most critical on this drive.
Yep, Auburn's got to start conserving the clock.
Jason, you called it. The way Auburn's up at the line of scrimmage, 9 men in the box. If you can crease it offensively, if you can find a seam, you're gone. There's no second level.
Auburn. Timeout.
PJ Fleck is incensed on the sideline. Timeout Auburn with 2:18 to go in a dandy Outback Bowl. VPS Sports Center tonight after the Sugar Bowl. Post-game reactions, plus a full Rose Bowl breakdown. Oregon and Wisconsin coming up next. And a special edition of Bad Beats featuring the worst of 2019. And who knows, maybe this game at some point, too. We got a lot of time left. Lance on the sideline is hit from 40 today. Do they try and set it up for him here on third down?
Yeah, I think you're thinking field goal, not first down. You need about 7 yards to give him a fair shot at it.
Ibrahim broke one tackle. Ibrahim dives forward, and he rolls for a Minnesota first down.
Auburn came with the pressure, and the pressure was inside. You'll see all the guys coming, and they managed to get outside around them. Great blocking on the edge to seal Auburn inside.
Big Cat Bryant never really had a shot at him, though he was close. And PJ Fleck is amped. First 10-win season for Minnesota since 1905.
Look, think about this.
Are they going to check the spot? Let's see.
Coach Fleck on the near side annoyed at the setting of the play clock.
If you read lips.
Yeah,
or listen
pick it
closely.
Up off my mic.
He said review it.
I'm standing right next to him. He wants it reviewed. ACC crew.
Gus Malzahn getting a conversation on the other side. But they're going to go ahead and row the boat for now as a placeholder until we see what happens.
They're rowing the boat pretty good, Jason. You hear them?
We have thousands of crew members yelling, row, row, row.
Some thought they'd need a bigger boat for this one.
Turns out it was just fine. For now, Gus Malzahn holding court on the far side. Let's check.
Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 11 seconds, and the play clock will be set to 25 seconds. The game clock will start on my signal.
PJ Fleck had that look on his face when you're doing math in your head and your mouth moves a little bit. He was doing the math in his head to see if that was right.
Yeah, he's ahead of. He's like, I'm good with that now.
He's happy. He said, yeah, I'll chest bump you to the linesman. They got it right.
Auburn doesn't use the timeout. Minnesota will wait. Ibrahim charging to the 16.
Auburn's got to use these timeouts. They'll be taking them home otherwise.
Auburn, their second timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Hey, don't forget, Oregon and Wisconsin coming up next. And then Georgia and Baylor, top 8 teams. If you want a bigger playoff, this is what you might have seen early on.
You know, New Year's Day is awesome. Nice little appetizer to get you going, and then the Rose Bowl is really going to fill you up. And finish it off with a Sugar Bowl.
What a beautiful day of college football. And the wonder of college football is you have 2 programs, Auburn, who was going for its 15th 10-win season. They're so used to it. They want to win national championships, and there's such a sturdy, wonderful brand in college football. And then you have PJ Fleck, the disruptor, putting together this program for Minnesota. Historically great early on, but nothing like this recently.
I was going to say, if these guys at Minnesota win this game, they will be legends in the state of Minnesota.
Ibrahim squeezing through, showing the power, and a first down. Minnesota to put it away.
Results of the plays in first down. Timeout. Auburn, their third and final timeout of the half.
Think about what the reunion is going to be in 10, 15, 20 years for these players and this coaching staff. And they talk about the 2019 season and facing Auburn and SEC power in this game and winning 11 games. Think about those reunions, what those are going to be like.
And their leader, Rod, at those reunions, the quarterback Tanner Morgan, who was one lack of a coaching change away from playing in the group of 5 for Western Michigan with PJ Fleck. It was a phone call. It was a change in route from Kalamazoo further west and to Minneapolis. And he becomes the guy who's changed the trajectory of the Minnesota program in a major way.
Not big enough, not strong enough, not a big enough arm, not fast enough, just a winner. A winner in high school and a winner at Minnesota.
And for PJ Fleck, I remember when he was at Western Michigan, they said, well, that style will never work for a Power 5 school. Well, let me tell you, coaching the person first, relationship-based coaching, I think it's the wave of the future.
And guys, all of that is exceedingly true facing a well-stocked possible playoff team in Auburn if it bounces correctly. One of the toughest games Minnesota's had all season, if not the toughest, and they've put away the Auburn Tigers.
And listen, there is no question that Auburn was dialed in for this game.
Yes.
No question about it at all. But Minnesota made Auburn uncomfortable. They played keep away. Auburn had 22 offensive plays in the first half. They ran 9 rushing plays in the first half. That is not the way Auburn likes to play. And it took them out of their style, and they had trouble getting back. They looked like they got some of it in the third quarter, but Minnesota bounced right back.
Normally when you row the boat successfully, you don't end up underwater, but not today for P.J. Fleck and the Gophers. 31-24 in the Outback Bowl upset. Downstairs, Quint Kesnick with P.J. Fleck.
You're soaked. You're chilly. What made the difference?
The kids, the players. They've had so much adversity this entire year, from Casey O'Brien to losing coordinators and coaches. We had a lot of quality control guys step up into big roles. Our players kept the faith all year. It's just been a special year for our program, special year for our university, the entire state of Minnesota, and I'm so proud of our coaching staff for the resolve they showed in the last few weeks.
What emotions are you dealing with right now?
Just so proud of the players, just so proud of our kids, just so proud to be a Gopher. It just shows you this program's going. You know, we talked about we get a chance to play against one of the big Blue Bloods, and if we want to be a Blue Blood one day, we got to beat Blue Bloods, and we're just very humbled to be at the Outback Bowl and very proud of the victory. That's a heck of a football team. Gus Malzahn's one of the best coaches in America. I don't have any more respect than anybody in the country than that guy.
Great season, Coach. Congratulations.
Roll the boats, guy. You might go Gophers.
For Marlon Davidson and the Auburn defense, a loss by 7, but for the senior Tyler Johnson, for the Golden Gophers, our Capital One player of the game, a Minnesota Bowl record. He's got more receiving touchdowns than anybody in Gopher history, Rob.
And deservingly so. I mean, he is the guy that changed the complexion of this game. First couple of series, they didn't have him involved the way they wanted, and then he just got loose when they moved him into the slot spot, and he was a terror.
What a game. What a way to start your 2020 in college football. 31-24 Minnesota. Coming up next, the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual as Oregon takes on Wisconsin. For our entire wonderful crew all year long, for Quint Kesnick, for Rod Gilmore, I'm Jason Benetti. We thank you for joining us. Now we send you out to our CFP pregame show. Reese Davis and the guys take it away.